Hello everybody. So I have this EP coming out on August 22nd. It's called House of Ghosts. I really should be doing more promotion for this. Most people don't even know that I have anything written, and I've been sucking at that because, I have a full-time job doing stuff for First to 11, and it's been a little tricky to find time to do it, but I kind of just wanted to make this video talking to you a little bit about how it came to be and why I pretty much decided last second that I was even going to release it. Also, do your best to ignore what I'm wearing right now. I just kind of haven't done my laundry yet, so this is what we have. So in 2022, I'm writing record 2 with Concrete Castles or whatever, and I kind of got inspired to start writing some stuff that sounds a little bit heavier that probably wouldn't have made it on that record, like Deftones, Static Dress, Bring Me the Horizon type stuff. I kind of just always thought it would be fun. I've had like a soft spot in my heart for that kind of music since I was probably 10, 11 years old. And I also really want to start to learn how to sing. I had taken singing lessons for a stretch of 6 to 7 months in the past or whatever. And I kind of fell off of it, and I was like, this would be a good way to get out of my comfort zone. It's kind of like how I started my $1 Patreon to release music when I was on a record label. I kind of just did this EP as an excuse to try to get good at singing. So like I said, it's like the fall of 2022, and I've kind of decided I want to write this heavier sounding EP, and I want to write it with some of my friends. So I recruit some of my friends, and I'm like, we should write this together. They're all in on it, and we set up some days to start writing. They kind of fall through. I'm like, maybe I'll just kind of get the ball rolling and meet up with them later. And eventually the time is drawing near to actually get into the studio and record them, and I'm like, oh boy, we don't really have much going on. I probably should just step on the throttle with this. So I wrote the music to all of these songs. I think there's 8 of them in 2 weeks or something like that. Really snuck up on me. And some of my friends ended up having other obligations, so they ended up not being able to come with me. So I was like, all right, solo mission. So I actually grabbed one of my friends named Ben, who used to be a member of First to 11. He's my lifelong best friend and somebody that I share a lot of similar music taste with. And we just decided to go into the studio together with the producer who does First to 11 stuff named Nick in Michigan. So one December day in 2022, I just basically by myself went to go pick up Ben and load up my U-Haul with all of my amps and guitars and just drove to Michigan, basically on a whim. I think there were 4 or 5 demos that I did that ended up not making the cut, but they were cool ideas. So the ones you hear are out of a batch of 10 songs or something like that. And at this point, as I'm driving to Michigan, I've sent Nick our demos, or my demos, I guess I'll just say, and I have no vocals written for them. I was still very much in a place of being scared to record stuff and send it to people. The amount of takes that I did here at my studio at home for my vocals when the time came to do it was so overkill I can't even explain. I'd sometimes retrack a song 6, 7, 8 times until I finally got it how I wanted. And I mean the entire song, not just one little take. One little take sometimes would take me 20, 30 minutes. But as far as the music goes, I was definitely a lot more comfortable in that element. I produce mostly just the music for First to 11, not the vocals, obviously, because I'm not the singer, for all of our songs. So I do that every day. I'm very familiar with that. I wasn't worried about it. But as opposed to doing everything remotely, like how First to 11 operates, we actually rented out a real room for the weekend, and we did live recordings of drums with lots of different snare sounds, and we did live guitar recordings with different amps, and we auditioned different sounds. It was really fun. It's a very typical studio process to how bands recorded probably 20 years ago, and now everything is just so much more advanced as far as the studio technology goes that it was kind of fun to do it the old school way. Not totally old school. It's not we were recording on tape or something, but it was just cool. You don't really get that kind of studio experience very often in such a digitized world. It was quite weird to hear some of my ideas come to life because they had gone through no filtration process. There were no co-writers. There were no even band members. Nick is a fantastic producer, probably the best producer I've ever met in my life, and he definitely was able to guide me in the right direction on some of these songs. But when I showed up with these and he had never heard any of them, he still did not hear any vocals until months later when I actually wrote them and recorded them. It was very intimidating to just hear these ideas and think all right, well, there's nobody here to double check me on done any of this stuff. I was very, very unsure in a lot of my decision making, but I think that I grew quite a bit from it. I made Nick do way, way too many revisions on some of these songs, even getting on FaceTime with him sometimes frantically, just asking him to repatch things or to try different takes or to have him play guitar on things. I mean, the amount of times that I just told him, like, no, I'm sorry, but like, maybe it's not even you, maybe it's me, I just don't like how I did this thing, but we're so into the thick of it that we can't really turn back now. I mean, I have apologized almost to him for the amount of times that I was like, sorry I was so obsessive over this thing. It was the first time I had ever just like written stuff by myself without anybody, and now am deciding to release it. And Nick is such a good guy. He totally understood. He was like, I get it, but maybe you just need to stop being a little bitch and just like believe in yourself a little bit, which is now advice that I pass on to like 99% of the people that I work with and are extremely resistant to releasing some of their art. And that kind of leads me to like the greater point of this whole video, which is why I waited 3 years to even decide to release something like this. I kind of hid behind the guise of like, well, I am on a record label, so I can't really release this, which is actually true. I mean, there was a long time that I actually just wasn't really allowed to put out stuff, but I always knew in the back of my mind that even if I wasn't really comfortable doing it. I think when I first did it, it felt so rushed. Like there were some songs that I had thrown onto this, or at least one that I can think of, that was supposed to be for Concrete Castles, but because I was running so low on time, I just like threw it into the mix and I was like, well, I need another song, so I'm just gonna have to put this one on there. Which funny enough ended up being like my favorite song of the entire EP. But I think a few things. One, I was so resistant to considering to release something like this because I had never really released myself singing to the world. Not that I have like a lot of eyes on me. In fact, one of the reasons that I ended up deciding to just do this is because I'm never probably going to be as small as I am right now as like Sam Gilman, not as like First to 11 or anything. And I was like, might as well do this now because that's kind of like my beginnings. I'd rather not like get better and better and then backtrack essentially. But I was very, very worried about that. It's, I don't know, kind of like doing a brand new thing and not really knowing how people are going to perceive it. But I also was just really worried about how I would do as like a songwriter on my own. And I think I've learned like so much because of doing this. And not to mention the skills that I gathered, you know, after the fact with like doing more Concrete Castle songs and working with more people. Like I know I would probably continue to get better if we had had more opportunities to write with more people, but even just the limited experience I had doing 2 records, I picked up so much more knowledge that I really didn't have at the time of writing this EP, and I was pretty insecure. Like I was like, maybe I'm not really cut out for doing original music. Like maybe I'm just kind of not good enough at this. One reason that really pushed me to getting it out, besides just the fact of what I said earlier of like, well, this is probably the best time chronologically that you should do this, it just makes the most sense. Nick, the producer, and then 2 of my friends who are featured on this EP put in a lot of time and effort into working on this, and I'm not probably gonna make any money from this. I probably will lose money from what I paid Nick to help me with this, but I just feel like I really owe it to them to say like, you worked really hard on this thing, thank you for supporting me and believing me in this pursuit, so like, yeah, here, it should be released. And I don't know, maybe somebody will enjoy it and they'll see the names of the people who have helped me with this and they'll maybe get some more work because of it, or they'll just really appreciate the artistry and effort that they put into this. But the third reason, and probably the greatest reason, is just that if I don't put out stuff, I'm never going to get over my fears. I mean, there was a day where I was incredibly scared to play guitar in front of people when I was playing, you know, my first show ever at, oh my gosh, what was the name of that venue? Fox and Hound, I think, some small club in Erie when I was like 12 years old. And then after that, things just got easier because I decided to just put myself out there. And also, I got my first girlfriend after that show. So it was actually a really good idea that I got out of my comfort zone. There was a day that I was really scared to play drums in front of people for the first time, and then I joined a band and started playing drums for them, and I just got over that fear, and now I obviously am not scared of that. I was extremely scared to start singing in front of anybody, and I still haven't really done any like live shows, but like I don't really care that much about it now that I've like sang on some stuff for like First to 11. But there was a day where I was terrified terrified of that for the first time, and then I just had to do it so that I would get over it. There was a time when I was too scared to put out a mix of a song for like First to 11 on a channel with millions of people who are going to be watching, and I was just like, this is giving me like nightmares. Like, what if this is awful? What if everybody hates it? And then like I just did it and it was fine, and now I'm a lot less scared to do that. Like, I do all the mixes for like Patreon now, you know what I mean? Like, I got over that fear. So obviously the point is, I would really like to just start getting over the fact of being insecure of some shit that I've like written. Like, who cares? It's just gonna go out. The worst thing that happens is like, I don't know, nobody really likes it, and like that's the end. But the best thing that happens is I surprise myself, and actually it's not that bad, and I have this little memento or like time capsule of like what I was into at the time. Many people, including my psychiatrist, describe me as obsessive, but one thing that I've become very obsessed with, I think in a very good way, is a piece of advice that I got from another producer. So this producer friend of mine was giving me this advice because I was complaining about how I'm just so captivated by certain artists and their dedication to their aesthetic, and how curated they are, and how cohesive all of their art is. And I was like, I could never achieve that level of just cohesiveness, you know what I mean? I could never achieve that level of aesthetic or perfection. Mostly because I just have so many interests in so many different things. I just love writing songs. Like, it just makes me happy. I get inspiration listening to a door close, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I would love to write a song about this one thing that reminds me of. But like, none of these themes really fit together, and I have this one song over here that sounds like this, but I don't know if it's good, and I can't really sing, and whatever. And my friend was just like, you realize that everything that you release is curated if it comes from you. And I was like, holy shit, that's so true. Like, yeah, everything that comes from me is curated to some degree because I was the one who created it, or I was the one who touched it. And it like totally gave me the confidence to be like, maybe I should just release this thing. And I sent her my EP, and I was like, this is like years old. It kind of sucks. I don't know what you think. And she was like, I'm not even gonna listen to it yet, but like, just release it. Like, you're gonna look back one day and be like, why did I get so hung up on like this aesthetic or like this image? Like, just write something and have fun. Like, the weight of the world is not at all on your shoulders. You are not like, you're not Billie Eilish, you know what I mean? Like, just who cares? I don't know. I love that piece of advice. Like, it really does not matter. Everything that you touch is curated by you to some degree. And like, yeah, it'd be great if I had some like really crazy story arc in lore, like a band like Ghost or Sleep Token or something like that. I don't know. But like, I just love writing songs. I don't really care sometimes if they're bad because I'm cool with just like getting better over time. And I don't know. I just like sharing, I like sharing my art. The last and final point that I kind of feel like is worth mentioning is like kind of a sad point a little bit, but it's kind of like a happy point too at the same time. Sometimes when I work with new artists or clients, or I'm like talking to a prospective client, which this just happened recently, which is why I'm thinking about it, I'm heavily considerate of what they're going to find on the internet or on Spotify or whatever of things that I have worked on or touched. Obviously, they look at things like First to 11 and they're like, wow, this is really, really impressive work. Like, you have helped amass this like pretty impressive empire of covers, and it all sounds pretty good, but there are also lots and lots of covers. I mean, we've done like 600. There are lots of covers that I have done that I look back on and I'm like, oh my gosh, if they see that, they are not texting me back. Like, for sure. That's game over. There are some Concrete Castle songs that I'm like, ooh, I think that might turn some people away from working with me. Or even some original stuff, like in the wake of Concrete Castles being inactive and having like, you know, these kind of like starter attempts at like trying to be just like an independent artist. Like, I sometimes look at those and I'm like, I wonder if that kind of like negatively impacts this image or like proclivity for people to want to work with me to some degree. But I was meeting with that prospective client recently and I was like, hey, I noticed you have this like song that's like listed on one of your social media pages. Like, how'd that come to be? And they were like, well, to be honest, that's actually just kind of like a reminder for myself that I want to have something better to put there. It's not like my most proud work, but like I'm happy I did it, and I want to have the motivation to one up that. I thought that was a really awesome sentiment, because I obviously looked at that and was like, oh, you know, it's maybe not like my cup of tea, but like it's cool that that person is doing something. And they kind of hit me with the cold water of like, yeah, it's not really my favorite thing in the world either, but like I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna do something that I'm more passionate about and more interested in. I don't know. I thought it was a very like fantastic, just uplifting silver lining to the whole explanation. So anyway, I have this EP, House of Ghosts. It comes out on August 22nd. It is like years old, and it's like my first attempt at really doing anything by myself, but I feel like it is worthwhile to rip off the Band-Aid and just put it out. So I really hope that you guys enjoy it. I have not been doing nearly enough promotion for it. I just am running out of time. I'm like starting my work days at like 7, and I'm like getting home at like 8 p.m. and I'm still running out of time to do these things. But the point is, I hope you guys enjoy it. And even if one person thinks that it's cool, then I'll be happy. Actually, I take that back. I'm happy that it's coming out at all. I don't really care if anybody likes it. I hope they do. But I mean, that's not the point. That's not the altruistic reason for releasing it. And of course, major shout out to Nick Scott for just being the best producer of all time and making this thing like as good as it is. He's fantastic, and I owe him a kidney for how much he's helped me with music over the years. And a big shout out to Familiar Dark Luke Didion for doing some screaming stuff on this for me. God knows I can't do it. And for Colin King, Point Blank Society, another fantastic artist. We've played some shows with him before. He's really awesome. He sang on some of my stuff. He is a much better singer than me, and he actually gave me some vocal lessons a while ago. So hopefully they'll pay off in the future. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed the EP when it comes out, and catch you in the next one. Here's to many more new songs. I also have this Patreon where I also release videos early, and I release new songs early, some very half-baked song ideas if you're interested in those. And I also teach people how to record their songs in Logic and play guitar if you're a beginner. So go check that out. Patreon.com/Sam Gilman. It's only $1 a month. Not really there to make money. Just trying to help people out. I like it. I just wonder, like, I just think that maybe that main riff is like kind of unnecessary.